Live from New York. It's a show that's reminding you, they got Giannis jerseys in the souvenir store, okay? So you walk up, you say, hey, do you have a size 58? I don't know how large they make them. Suit up and start warming up. That's how you play the final home game.
You can warm up and still not play. Like, you can warm up and Doc may
You
just
want
choose to
Giannis's final moments in Milwaukee to be with technical fouls
Yes.
and ineligible
Let's get in the mud.
Yeah,
it would be. That's what it would. It would be ugly.
KW.
Well, now we're just sitting here quietly.
It's just over. It's over.
Well, I want to play in the NBA with my brothers one final time.
Great. It's not happening.
Well, it should.
That's fine, but it's not.
We're starting in the Garden. Tatum got a nice round of applause in his return to
That was good that
was
happened.
nice.
For the first time.
I heard you, Brew, specifically.
Yelling.
I heard Brew.
JT.
24 points with 2 for 10 from 3. Baylor Shireman and Josh Hart ended up hitting the huge shots in the game. 24 points, 13 rebounds. He's been a rebounding machine in 40 minutes, which is a season high. Did you like what you saw in Tatum's return?
I like that he played 40 minutes. I mean, that's impressive. And obviously, he didn't get hurt, thankfully. But he looked all right. I don't think he played that well. The numbers, I mean, 24, 13, and 8, you would certainly take that. But he's still understandably not quite where he was. We talked yesterday, is he 70, 75%? Because he wasn't creating space as much as, he is when he's fully healthy. And that contributed to some of his shooting. He was just off, too. He missed a couple open shots yesterday, but you saw the 31% shooting. But overall, it was great to see him back. Now, down the stretch, he struggled. For the last 8 minutes, he was 0 for 2 with 3 turnovers.
Yeah.
So like he said, they were outscored 25-14 by the Knicks, and that really turned the game. They had the lead, Boston, but with Tatum struggling a little bit, they didn't pull it out. But look, the bottom line, if you're a Celtics fan, is you're happy he's gotten through this. Mm-hmm. He didn't play badly. He just wasn't quite as up to par as he usually is. But he's healthy and he's past these demons of Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, and I think if you're a Celtics fan, you also like the fact that this was a nip and tuck game without Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
You know, and I do think the benefit for Boston sitting Jaylen Brown was it made it so if the Knicks lose, that's pretty ominous for them heading into a potential playoff series. And if the Knicks win, they can't really. They feel, again, we're talking about the Knicks in a minute, and the Knicks fans should be happy, but it doesn't feel as sturdy as if Jaylen had been there. But as far as Jayson goes, I've liked every single thing about his return. And I am pretty stunned by, like you said, yesterday was not a great game. He didn't shoot very efficiently. He had a half dozen turnovers. But he came back March 6th. Today is April 10th, and he's playing 40 minutes. That is, it would have been unfathomable. Yeah. If when he came back, the Celtics announced he's not going to play he's not going to play any back-to-backs, which he's not. He's not going to play more than 3 games any given week, and he's capped at 30 minutes a game the rest of the season.
Yep.
I think we all would have been like, yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Sounds reasonable. Instead, he's been playing 35 minutes regularly, and since he came back, here's the list of guys averaging 20, 10, and 5. That's crazy.
That's not even a wild. Sometimes we cherry pick the stats a little bit. This is nice and clean.
So that's why I did it, because he's actually averaging like 22 and a little more, but I wanted it to be
21, 7, and 3 steals.
And so listen, the rebounding numbers are what calls the herd quite a bit, because there aren't a lot of guys who get double-digit rebounds and pass, but that's remarkable. And if we set, KW, to your point, like the threshold's even lower. Mm-hmm. The only other guy that pops up is Paolo, another kind of guy, big guy that can do a little bit of everything. And so I do feel like one of the benefits of his transparency and honesty is I do think we can take him at his word. Like, and so I do think this was an important and needed hurdle for him to get over, and one that if this hadn't been on the schedule, would have been a tougher spot for him when he goes to New York in the playoffs, assuming he goes in the playoffs. Yep. So all of that, if you're a Celtics fan, I think, again, you want to win the game, but I think you're pretty thrilled with how this is going entirely.
Yeah, and look, he doesn't look like he's ready to be the number one guy on a championship team like he's proven he is. But the good news for Celtics fans is he doesn't have to be. He's the number 2 guy this year, and he's clearly able to do that.
Was there something, you went to the game? Mm-hmm. Was there something specific that you saw? When I watch it, I'm like, looks the same. It looks like the
he
same
just wasn't
Tatum
able to
who
create
had
as much space. So a lot of his shots were contested. And I will say this, he had a fall in the second half.
Yes.
That was.
I was terrified.
I don't remember because where I was there when he got hurt, but I was really up in the rafters.
No, same spot.
I wasn't sure if it was the same side of the court,
Not
but
good.
yeah, it was this, and he kind of just fell or got tripped or something, and I was like, and he got up great and everything was good.
At that moment.
And probably even to him, he thought about that.
When you say he's not able to create as much space.
I'm not saying he's not, he didn't last night.
No, but do you think there's an element of, I'll mix metaphors a bit. There was about a few weeks ago, there was a video, like a LeBron compilation video and the caption was, he's been cooking guys with the simplest dribble moves for 20 years. And the response was, yeah, because guys are so worried about him about basically his power and speed that they have to guard him differently so he doesn't need the ball handling. The flip side of that is one of the reasons he's not creating space is because he's not quite as explosive as he was. Guys are more comfortable. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's the thing. He didn't have the explosion.
And so guys are less worried. When you have the explosion, you almost have to play off the guy a little bit because he can get right past you. If he doesn't, I think that's it. And I don't know how much. I don't think that'll come all the way back, but I think it probably the explosion gets better and better. You know what I mean? Over the course of the next few weeks.
Just look at the way he's improved over this past month.
Celtics host the Pelicans tonight. Tatum won't play that game. Zoom out. Knicks win their 4th straight game, trying to make a mad dash to grab the 2 seed from Boston. Will be tough. Mike Brown got his 52nd win last night. He jumps Pat Riley for most wins ever in the first season as the Knicks head coach. What are the chances this Knicks squad gets over the hump?
Well, look, I like Mike Brown a lot. Have known him since he was coaching the Cavs the first time there and LeBron's first stint there. Little context to that record, all right? The last 2 years, the Knicks won 50-plus games. So they won 52 years ago, 51 last year. They better have won 52, right? All right, or whatever they're going to finish up at. Pat Riley's 51 wins, he took them from 39 wins to 51 years. And Jeff Van Gundy and Mike Woodson. Jeff Van Gundy in his first year with the Knicks, 57 wins. Mike Woodson, 54. They have both coached a little bit in the previous season.
Okay.
They took over with about 23
That's
games
interesting.
left.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, but they had been interim coach. So just a little context.
I like that.
Yeah.
But that said, look, there feels like there's been this feeling around the Knicks this year of, man, they're not as good as we thought they were, right? They were supposed to be better. They got more wins than last year, obviously. Last year, they were 5th in offensive rating, 14th in defensive rating. This year, they're 3rd and 8th. Yeah. So they've improved on both sides of the ball. Obviously, Brown is going deeper in the bench, which should serve them well in the playoffs.
I had this graphic we were going to make.
Yeah.
They're better. They are.
Exactly.
They're slightly better offense, slightly better defense. They outscore people more. They're a better fourth quarter team.
The fourth quarter number, are those, I know it's season long, but that seems monstrous.
Yeah, correct. Well, and last year they were outscored in the fourth quarter.
And Brunson was great in the clutch last year.
Kid's got you playing 40 minutes.
Legit. And we think they'll be fresher because of that point.
And I'm going to say this. Look, I said yesterday I think it's Boston, Detroit, New York, Cleveland in the East as far as the best teams. I think the Knicks really, if I'm them, I'd rather play Boston in the second round than Detroit. I think they match up better with Boston. I think they could beat Boston again. I don't know if I'll pick them because, we'll make our picks when it's time. But I really think they match up really well with Boston. Several reasons. Obviously, they've had great success against them lately. Last year, beat them 4-2. We're about to go up 3-1 when Tatum got hurt, so that can't be an excuse. This year, we get it, 3-1 against Boston, but none of those games had Brown and Tatum. But even when Brown and Tatum play, they are built to defend them better than just about anybody because they got OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, and you could throw in Josh Hart. Like, they have the wing defenders who can make it tough on them. So in that series last year, they held both Tatum and Brown to 40% shooting. So they can make it tough on you. And then this year they become one of the best clutch teams in the league. They're 6th, I believe, in clutch play. And then they've got 2 guys in Jalen and Karl Anthony Towns who can get double teams late in the game. And you could get, like last night, they kicked it out to Josh Hart and he was hitting the 3. So they will be able to get open threes late because of their creators. And if they knock down the threes, they match up better, I think, with Boston than Detroit.
Well, they were built to beat Boston.
Yes.
One of the reasons last year, I was one of the only people, I think, who going into the series picked the Knicks. And it was in part because I just think it's hard to defend a title and all that. But it was also like, man, it felt very similar. It reminded me a lot of the round 2 the previous year defending champ against Minnesota, where a Minnesota team that wasn't championship caliber but had been built to beat Denver.
Right.
And then they matched up and they did, and that's what happened. So I agree with that to a degree and understand it. I also don't want, like last night, we're talking about Jaylen Brown missing. The other thing is this: Josh Hart, who's not a good shooter, made a bunch, was on fire, and that sometimes the game plan is make Josh Hart make player X beat us.
On him,
right, and that player X is like, okay, I'll beat you, and that's what happens. I still think Boston is decidedly more championship caliber, and I would pick Boston in a series. With that said, I did today have a similar feeling of you, which is, man, it feels like we've all collectively been a little down on the Knicks, even though they're better than last year. Those numbers that we showed, they're going to have a better record. It's not like last year they were the 1 or the 2 seed. They weren't. Their seeding was the same. And I think that was because we expected, given the injuries to Boston and what happened with Indiana, that the Knicks would do what Detroit did.
Right.
Start the year as the number 1 seed and basically hold it. They didn't, but they haven't been disappointing this year by any means. And it does feel like, and I've probably been a party to it, the commentary surrounding them has been as if they're a 46-win team.
Hawks-esque.
Yeah, honestly. And so...
Brew, can I ask you a question to power rank?
Yep.
The following players with the ball in their hand, you need a bucket, they are bringing it up the court. Okay? Jaylen Brown, Jalen Brunson, and Jayson Tatum.
Jalen Brunson?
Yeah,
Me
he's
too.
number 1.
You saw a lot. I felt like we got a peek at playoff Jalen Brunson, either drawing a foul or the cool, like almost Marbury-esque
He'll get a little
pass.
mid-range shot, easy.
I just feel like he's
that
tough to
pass to
stop.
Hart under the basket was sensational.
No, but there's not many guys in the league you would put above him of that specific scenario. Like that's what he's best
clutch
at.
Guys in the
He's
league.
one of the best
Absolutely.
clutch guys, and he's one of the better small scorers of his generation. Like there's not many guys his size who can more reliably get you a bucket.
Yeah, if not, Alvarado would get more burn, Raptors and Hornets to close out the year for New York.
They're 4-0 against Toronto already this year, and that could be a first-round matchup.
Head out to the West Coast. Lakers get a dub over the Dubs. First win without Luka. LeBron had 26. All right, news today. JJ says he's hopeful that Marcus Smart and Jackson Hayes will play against the Suns.
Well, that's something. Those are the 2 guys they need back.
You think it's going to be LeBron by himself?
They'll take him.
Yeah.
Can this version of LeBron win a playoff series?
Well, look, he's playing with an extra pep in his step. It looks to me like he's playing outstanding basketball. And I tell you what, obviously he moves into the Luka role of handling the ball more and distributing and running the offense and stuff. he might do that better than Luka. I mean, obviously he's LeBron James.
Orchestrate the offense.
Yeah, and he doesn't dominate dribble as much as Luka, so he moves it a little faster in my view. The thing is, Luka can't go do what LeBron did a month ago and say, all right, I'm going to be off the ball. Luka just has to have the ball in his hands.
And
so
LeBron can't score the way Luka can. Not
at this point,
yeah,
no.
At this
and
point
he's not the shooter, Luka, all that stuff. But look, if they play Minnesota, which I don't think is going to happen, but if they play Minnesota, and Anthony Edwards, he's questionable tonight, it's starting to look like he's not going to be himself. If he's not himself and they face Minnesota, now Minnesota has all the athleticism and things like that as far as advantages, I would probably pick Minnesota if Ant plays, but, maybe 80%. But I certainly give the Lakers a shot. More likely they're going to face Houston. I will pick Houston. I think Houston just, the talent discrepancy. I mean, we talk about Durant, Şengün, Amin Thompson, Jabari Smith. Like, they have such a talent advantage, and they've got a very good coach in Udoka. I would pick them. Shame on them and Kevin Durant if they were to lose to the Lakers without Luka and Reaves.
That'd be a disaster.
But I would give the Lakers, it isn't a lot, but a 10 to 15% chance.
Well, that's something.
In winning that.
Yeah. So that's almost exactly where I'm at, Brew. I think that a lot of our discussions have been if Luka comes back, could Luka immediately then, win a series? This conversation is if they say Luka is out for round one, do the Lakers have a chance? And my answer to a chance is yeah, because, and I'm focused on Houston.
Right.
Because it's the most likely matchup. Minnesota's locked into the 6. That is done now. So the Lakers would have to get to the 3. And I don't think they're not going to end up playing Denver in round one, even though in theory the 3, 4, 5 could all change. But that Denver's the least likely round one opponent. LeBron, when he is the unquestioned best player on his team, the last 2 years. So again, last year he's younger, and so I'm not saying
still old,
but he's still he was 40 and in year 22.
Yeah.
Last year in games where Anthony Davis and Luka didn't play, he just goes out there and cooks on offense. Now, and you saw it last night, his defense suffers. That is where LeBron, the age has shown up for LeBron more than any other aspect of his game other than just raw explosiveness. Ends. Yes, is he doesn't have the energy to do that on offense and be a even good, much less excellent defender. And for the Lakers, they don't have a lot of other, good defenders. But I'm kind of excited to see him try, to see to see what he can do. And I think the fact seeing Durant across the court, like he has some history of playing Kevin Durant in a playoff series where Durant's team's got way more talent. Right. He has, now those series didn't go well for him, but he individually was excellent. And he seems, I don't know if resigned is the right word, but the question, we didn't include the question there. But the question was essentially, what is your role now with this team? And he said everything. And then he said the way it used to be. So it's a really unique spot of a guy who, KW, at different moments of his career, has had to do this for teams. We're like, this final year in Cleveland.
I don't ever remember him having to do, oh, you mean take over?
Yes.
Yeah, I was saying, I never remember him having to do what he did a month ago.
No, but I'm saying take over and have be like.
That's just been how he's played.
No, but I mean
career.
Where there have been different spots where he doesn't have another great player alongside him. So like 2018 in Cleveland, his final year in Cleveland, his first stint in Cleveland at various times, and the beginning of his time in LA, that's what his life was. And it's just going to be interesting to see how far he can pull it in the playoffs in year 23.
4 games is a lot. I want to believe it 1 or 2 games, but 4 games, I can't even give it 10%. If I do, that is such an indictment on Udoka. if he can't
and
come up with a
Durant,
defensive scheme. To
well,
stop
here's the thing.
Doubling LeBron is not like a strategy. Like he'd love it if you double. Like even with bad teammates, like it's never really been a strategy because he's such a willing passer.
The Rockets are averaging, I think, around 119 or something the last few weeks.
They're stop. That's what I'm saying. That the talent discrepancy is crazy. But look, the Lakers. If you're the Lakers, keep it close. Lakers are the best clutch team in the league. All right. Houston has not been great. Houston.
But is that still, you buy that stat on a Luka-less team?
No, I'm saying if you're the Lakers, your best chance is if you can keep these games close, and then in the last 2 minutes it's in the balance. I trust LeBron James more than I trust anybody else on the court. Yeah. Include any of those guys from Houston, like to get myself a good shot or somebody on the team a good shot.
I also think
I think the Lakers would sign up for that.
Again, they would be massive. They will be decided underdogs. I also do wonder for that Rockets team, particularly for Durant, to all of a sudden enter a series where you are, like, losing would be a catastrophe.
Yeah, that's interesting.
You know what I mean? Where it's like, it will be, like you said, such an indictment on us. Like, for Durant in particular, because Durant and LeBron are friendly. I think they are actual friends. But that obviously has been a professional rivalry forever, for 15-some years. And all of a sudden, like, if 2 weeks ago, if Durant was looking at potential playoff matchups, it was, if we get the Lakers, if I pull this off with Luka playing the way he is, those guys it'll be, look at what KD did. I know there were expectations going into the year, but
getting out of the first round is like, you got
but it would have been
who they were playing.
But they would have been I think a pretty big underdog against the Lakers
because of the way they have been playing
recently. But now all of a sudden,
Very interesting.
Right, it is, and I think the Lakers will have home court. Yeah. Like the Lakers are probably going to be the 4 seed, so I don't know.
I think Durant has felt throughout their careers that when it's even, I can beat LeBron. He's had advantages over me with his teammates, so he can't lose this because he's got the clear advantage right now.
From McMenamin, if the Lakers beat the Suns and the Rockets lose to Minnesota, the Lakers clinch 4.
I think it's either or. I think it's they just need one of those things to happen. I think their magic number is 1.
Travis Hunter drafted. The Jags said they were getting 2 players in one. You know, you get an offensive player, you get a defensive player. Really. 28 catches and 15 tackles later. Plans changing. Ian Rappaport reporting that the team is now thinking full-time corner and contributor on offense. Is this the right move, Coach?
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, you said this day one.
I thought about this a lot, and I saw a guy talk about it right before training camp, and I felt like he had a lot of good things to say. I don't know if he's available or not.
Looked a lot like you too.
Can we play it? Do we have a clip to play?
My feeling with the whole Travis Hunter thing is that he should start on defense, play defense, and then situationally play him on offense. 3rd down, red zone, 2-minute. Then you can control his rest and you can control him in the most high-impact situations.
All right, dude, brush him off, Coach.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
Go ahead, KW.
So I'm wondering if this is like glass half full. Like, yeah, okay, great, you were right. Glass half empty. This is a bit of a disaster.
No, it's a catastrophe for my Jags.
No, I don't think so.
No,
catastrophe. What if he becomes a all-pro cornerback?
It makes the process of it a catastrophe. You cannot think about when we're talking about. I'll give you a great example. Trading for Myles Garrett or Micah Parsons, or you know what I mean? These great players who either have been traded or could be traded. Nobody goes for what Travis went for. Travis went for the 5th, a future 1st, and a 3rd. The 5th overall pick, another 1st-round pick, and a 3rd rounder, or 3rd or 4th rounder. I don't remember. Like that's.
But still, it's a lot.
And I know you don't like when I say this, Coach. I'm basing this purely off the economics of the NFL. Not a marquee position. Like as far as pay, as the pay scale goes, quarterback, pass rusher, wide receiver, tackle.
Right.
Then corner is there with guard as far as what the top of the market makes. That's just process-wise, it's a catastrophe. It is lessened if he becomes an all-pro. But to the point that I'm trying to make here, Trent McDuffie was literally a multi-time all-pro and went for the 29th pick and a few mid-rounders. So
with a big salary.
Yes, with the big salary, that is true.
I think you're looking at it only through the lens of he's only going to play defense. And what I had said before and what I say right now is, yeah, he'll be on defense. That'll be his core position. But if then you use him in the red zone or in 2 minute or on third down, and you're getting meaningful plays out of him in that situation, then it makes sense. They just switched the formula from offense first with a little bit of defense to defense first with offense. And if he's impactful on offense, now you're still getting to the same sort of general formula that they were value that they were looking for. It's just structured differently than the way they started out.
Look, I'm not trying to steal Coach's shine, but I felt the same way.
No, it's true. You did.
I was saying, is he better than Deion Sanders? Is he a better athlete than Deion Sanders or Charles Woodson? They didn't go full-time both ways in the NFL. I just didn't think, look, I get it. He really wanted to try it. He did have success in college. So I think it was the right thing to, hey, let him go try. I agree with you on they obviously gave up too much. But to your, what do you always say, sunk cost fallacy or whatever, you got to move on. But I think you're right to give him a shot, and now he knows he got hurt in 7 games.
So that's the thing.
He may still think he can, but I never believed he could. He's not even a big guy either. So his durability still could be in question. But I just think playing one side and then contributing on the other is the right way to go. I don't think you can go both ways full time in the NFL.
So that very well may be true. What I find fascinating about this is I don't think he is the biggest reason they are making this call. Like, it doesn't, they said they were going to do it. When they drafted him, the new GM was basically like, he's going to change the paradigm of football, those things. I don't think it's fair to say he failed at it. He got hurt. It wasn't going great, I will admit, but there's a lot of guys who the first half dozen games of their career don't go great. We didn't really get proof of concept. What we did get was Trevor and the offense started humming once they traded for Jacoby Myers. He was no longer in the lineup, and that's when Trevor ripped off the 19 touchdowns, 1 turnover. They played great in the playoff game. And I view this, honestly, more about we found a formula that works on offense, and we don't want to mess with it. And so we are going to have Travis focus exclusively on defense where we do need help, and then we'll see. But I mean, he looked like at best, he'd be mediocre on both sides. I said all along, the best chance of him being a star was one way. And I'd rather him be a star on one side of the ball than mediocre on both. And I also think, Nick, Brian Thomas didn't have a great year, so maybe they're expecting him to bounce back. But Jacoby Myers, they did play well with him, but you're not like putting all your chips I agree.
Jacoby
It's just
Myers.
they ended up really being their best passing attack when they stopped worrying about Travis and to some degree Brian Thomas and just, kind of Trevor threw to the open guy, and that's what they did. You're right, he didn't look great, but there's a lot of guys who end up being great players who the first 6 games of their career look like, oh man, this guy's in way over his skis, and then it clicks for him. I just don't know if he's going to get that opportunity.
And I think you can not disrupt what Trevor has right now offensively while still incorporating him into the offense. You have a 10 or 12 play package that he's part of, and he knows he practices it consistently. Everybody practices it. He comes in, he runs those plays. Now you may get another weapon in those key moments. It doesn't disrupt Trevor at all. It's not changing their week of preparation. This is what you do all the time. Now it's a supplement that could be a really positive thing for Trevor, as opposed to what probably was last year. Very disruptive because you're trying to justify what you gave up for this guy.
Also, before we move on, I don't ever copy off your notes ever. However, I can see everybody's notes, and I have very good vision. Coach takes very fastidious, long typed notes, unlike Brew does chicken scratch.
But this is so you
It's paragraph after paragraph for the whole show. His entire prep for Travis Hunter was, I called this a year ago. That's all. Everything. Ty Simpson, we're about to talk about six graphs. Travis Hunter, I called this a year ago.
Fair point. Fair point.
We need to work on that one.
It's time for our first episode of Ty Simpson. Questions abound. Is he a first-round pick? Is he a second-round pick? And hold on, look at this comp. Jeremy Fowler quotes an unnamed, and I don't think you need to be unnamed. You know, it's a compliment.
It's very interesting.
Nobody wants
between Jared Goff and Mac Jones.
Because you would love a player who's rookie year Mac Jones and rest of career Jared Goff. Rookie year Jared Goff and rest of career Mac Jones, worst quarterback in NFL history. So it really depends on what we're like.
Mac Jones is sought after right now.
It is so like
sought after.
when are we getting them? Are you in the head or the tail? It's a very big problem.
Is Ty Simpson worth a first-round pick?
In a league that's so starved for quarterbacks, I can understand why someone may go and get him. And the idea of getting him in the first round, you get that extra year, that fifth-year option, and that's oftentimes why people will trade up late in the first round to get a guy to have that extra year on the contract. Where I struggle with him is, you know, you look at late in the season against Georgia and Indiana, they had a combined 10 points. And those are two very good defensive coaches, two very good defensive schemes, more in line with probably what you're going to see in the NFL. And to have that little production, that's a concern. Started off hot, didn't really end that way. And then when you watch his throws down the field, there just aren't the same level of throws that you see with Mendoza. And I'm not saying Mendoza is this elite passer, but you're not seeing enough of a body of work with those throws. The other thing that concerns me is they talk about how developed he is, which can be a really positive thing, and his dad's a coach, and all that's good, but you want a guy who actually isn't that close to his ceiling coming into pro football, because now there's going to be growth, and what you got in college, there should be a jump. And if he's that developed right now, the way they talk about him, processing, reading defense, all those things, is this the finished product? And if it is, I don't necessarily think that's going to be what you're looking for necessarily.
Yeah, I don't think so. He's got, 15 starts in his college career. He's 6 feet tall, so he's a smaller guy. And obviously, as you said, it was up and down, his 15 starts. And the teams that really need a quarterback are at the really high in the draft. Arizona, the Jets. You're not taking him 2 or 3. After 6, Cleveland 6. Yeah. And they obviously going to give Shador or whatever a shot. After 6, there's really nobody. I know the Jets have another pick, but there's really nobody that needs – they either have their own franchise quarterback or a young guy
or they've just drafted one.
Might be able to become one. And then you look at next year's draft, supposed to be good. Like the Jets have Geno, and they have a lot of needs elsewhere. Maybe they go and try to fill needs elsewhere. And word on the street is Geno's going to lead them to the promised land. So why they going to draft somebody?
Listen, I think this is – I don't want to be disrespectful to the young man. I think it's a ludicrous discussion. I think there are – this is – and it's weird because it's consecutive drafts. No, not even last year. Last year he wouldn't have been higher than Jackson Dart. So this is the only draft of the decade.
Wow.
Where he would be a top 2 quarterback. The Kenny Pickett draft maybe, I guess, as well. So I'm playing fast and loose with that. But I thought if in a typical quarterback draft, he's the 5th best quarterback available, and people are looking at him as a flyer in the 3rd round. Because he is pretty consensus considered the 2nd best quarterback in this draft. Like Ty Simpson's value as a player or career should not be impacted at all by whether or not Dante Moore went back to Oregon or the year Arch Manning or whomever graduated high school. But if either one of those guys, and I'm not even the biggest Arch Manning guy, but we're in this draft class, no one would be like, oh, is Ty Simpson, are we going to have a 4 quarterback first round? It's just because it's so rare to only have 1 quarterback go in the first round, and we know who it's going to be and we know where he's going, that in my opinion, these conversations are happening. I don't think hardly anyone watched Alabama last year and was like, that guy, that's a first round pick
Not after
quarterback.
the first few games, you know.
I wonder, outside of yours, but I wonder if your drafts are even colored by this. It felt like recently we've had, maybe just last year, a bad read on quarterbacks in the draft, where it was talk about like, hey, is it Cam Ward or Shedeur at 1 or 2? Well, Shedeur fell rounds.
Yeah.
Could Jackson Dart jump Shedeur? Jackson Dart turns out is really good. How about Tyler Shoki? Like, is he going to be any good? Turns out he might be excellent.
He might end up being the best
good to great.
class.
Yes,
We'll see.
So I just can't tell. It feels like a little bit like a weatherman who's been telling me it's going to be rain and it keeps on being sunshine.
But how much?
Quarterbacks always get elevated in the draft. The Trey Lance draft. Who are those first few guys? That was.
I mean, the Prince is a pretty good player. It was the Prince, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Mac Jones,
I mean,
and
4 guys that.
Justin Fields.
It's just tough
Justin
with
Fields, that's right.
So 5 guys that.
Yeah, I really don't. Well, I mean, I don't know why you're doing the 6-7 thing about the Prince. I mean, he's top 5 MVP.
I wasn't doing the 6-7
I mean, it
thing,
sure
but-
looked like you were.
Thank you for making me socially relevant.
I don't know. KW, I think what happened last year was everyone across the board got the Shedeur thing specifically wrong. Yeah, I think the mock draft community as a whole, not just because I'm a new member of it, actually does a pretty good job of having the general range of players. Okay. Like the consensus mock draft, when you compare that to the actual draft, it's pretty rare that a guy is, 25 or more spots drafted different. Shedeur was.
Now that Belichick's out of the league.
Yeah, Shedeur was 100 spots different.
But even I wonder if that's even insular. If the decision, if the noise from the mock drafts, penetrates decision makers.
Not really. You look at mock drafts just to try to see where your opponents might be thinking, but you're evaluating GM's history of drafting, head coaches' histories of draft. You're trying to look at it from a more analytical standpoint as opposed to just what the mock draft is saying.
Maybe the mock drafts as far as who's going where, I do think, and I think there's some real evidence that there are certain front offices that really do value the overall kind of wisdom of the crowd as far as the ranking of the players. Well,
nobody wants to come out the day after the draft and have their draft rated as an F.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Because the owners still see that.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, why do we have such a terrible draft? And the reality is you can't evaluate a draft for 2 or 3 years down the road anyways.
We do it.
And the Fs, we do it. Everybody
Friday.
does it.
The next day.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.